Today we are here to do a booktube classic, which is the mid-year book freakout tag. I'll leave the original creators and the questions down below, but it's basically as simple as it sounds. The middle of the year, a little reading check-in, and since I haven't been great at updating this year, I think this is the perfect video for me to do, so let's get right into it. The first question is the best book that you have read so far. If you know me, you might be able to guess, but it is definitely Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the conclusion to the King of Scars duology, and honestly could be the conclusion to the Grishaverse as a whole, though Leigh definitely set up like a potential next book, and I'm certainly not going to say no to it. This was just incredible. It's like the Endgame Avengers in book form kind of feeling, because it just brings so much of the world together. The politics are incredible, the characters are amazing. Zoya, I never thought I would be such a Zoya stan, but I am a Zoya stan, and I stan her and Nikolai. I love Nikolai, I stan Nikolai. I just it's so good. It's so freaking good. I'm just in my Grisha shit this year because the show came out, and I'm just back on Tumblr just being like all fan to me, and so yeah, this book, Rule of Wolves, amazing. Next question is the best sequel you've read, which obviously Rule of Wolves could also count for because it is obviously a sequel, but in the name of talking about different books, I will give you a different sequel that I freaking loved. The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. We waited like 4 years, I want to say, for this book. It is the fourth book, 4 years for a book, in the Bone Season series. I reread all the books leading up to reading this one, and it was just magnifique. There's a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. These characters go through so freaking much, it's insane, but it's so good. And if you haven't jumped onto this series yet, I highly recommend. I've been recommending it for many years now. And there's going to be 7 books in total in this series, so we're at kind of like a midway point right now. Perfect time to jump in. The third question is a new release that you have not read yet, but you want to. I have 2 books I'm going to talk about. The first is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I don't even remember like what this book is actually about, because I just remember when I was getting hyped up like right before it came out, I was like, bet I want to read that. I believe it's sapphic, it's a romance, and yeah, I just heard so many things and I would like to check it out. And then the second new release I haven't gotten to yet is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. As truly horrendous and tragic as the covers for this series are, the first book, called In the Hawk, was really excellent, and so I'm very excited to jump into this. So I definitely need a reminder because I don't remember anything that happened. If you don't know, this is the Dreamer series. It is a sort of spin-off of the Raven cycle, and it follows Ronan and Adam. Has some new characters, made me love characters that I didn't ever really care about before, like Declan, and it's very good. It surprised me. I didn't expect to enjoy the first book so much, so I'm excited to see if the same thing happens with book 2. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This definitely goes to The Excalibur Curse by Kirsten White, which is the third and final book in the Guinevere Deception series, the Camelot something series. The first book is the Guinevere Deception, which I talked about so much on my channel. Talked a lot about the second book. I love this series so much. It is so near and dear to my heart. Guinevere as a character is so near and dear to my heart, and I highly recommend it, even though it doesn't get a lot of love, so I guess it has a certain audience. Like, it's not a widely appealing book. I don't know why, because I think it's amazing. So if you haven't read the first book yet, or the second book, read those, because in December the third book comes out and I'm gonna scream. I'm already screaming, let's be real. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment. Definitely gonna give this to The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the third book in the Blood and Ash series. I read From Blood and Ash earlier this year. I read the second book. I don't remember what it's called. A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire? I think that's what it's called. I read those 2 and absolutely devoured them. Like, they were just so addicting. Not necessarily objectively good, but like, they hit the spot. And so when this came out, I was expecting it to do the same thing, but it really did not. I don't know, I wasn't as addicted to this one. The romance wasn't quite as good. We had more of the plot, which I never really cared about in the first place, and it's just so like, so many things keep being thrown on, and I'm like, ma'am, please. And there's still 3 more books in this series, so I'm very concerned but we'll see. Hopefully the next one's better. I will say I remember the end of this like being really like interesting. I don't remember anything about any book that I'm talking to you about right now because I don't have a memory. But question whatever number we're on is biggest surprise, and I kind of hate myself for holding this up right now, but it's A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maasee. Still waiting for you to clarify your feelings on Palestine, ma'am. I truly thought I was over my like Sarah J. Maas like phase, my fairy bullshit phase. Plus I just never liked Nesta as a character, so all of that combined made me not think that I would like this very much. However, I liked it much enjoyed. I actually ended up liking Nesta. I cried for Nesta. I thought her like grief was explored really well. The smut was quite excellent, if I do say so myself. And I just ate this shit up. I was very shocked. So I don't have words. This is my biggest surprise. Question number 7 is your new favorite author. I don't think I've read enough of one author for the first time to really say if they're a favorite. Like I've read a couple new to me authors, but like not more than one of their books. However, I'm just gonna go on a leap, go on a guess and say Katrina Leno, because I read Summer of Salt very recently and this book was freaking beautiful. I gave it 5 stars. I cried. Am I supposed to be telling you what these books are about? Because that's like my least favorite thing of booktube. But this is Sapphic and it's kind of witchy and it's this little island off the coast of Maine or something. It's just beachy and fun and atmospheric and it's so good. Like it was so good. And I know Katrina Leno has other books and she has other books that I was interested when I like heard about them. So definitely gonna be checking them out so I can confirm if she's a new favorite author for sure. But as of right now with this book, hell yes. Next question is your newest fictional crush. Honestly, I'm a 26-year-old woman, so I don't get those very often anymore, especially if I'm reading like a young adult book. I'm like, this is a child. I guess I could say Castile from the Blood and Ash series. Also Nikolai Lanstov, call me any day of the week, but that's not a new crush. So King of Scars Nikolai, because he's 20 something. Next question is your new favorite character, and I'm actually going to pick Odessa, who's our main character in Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. Now this series as a whole, I think it's just a duology. I don't think there's gonna be any more books. It's kind of like a 3-star series. I just read these super recently. I just finished the 2nd book last night. And like, I really enjoyed them. They were just not quite well paced and like executed. The potential was like so there with the world and the characters and everything, but I'm not here to give a review. I'm here to talk about my new favorite character, Odessa. The characters is what definitely like kept me reading this series. I just loved them so much, and I loved our main character, Odessa. She is a necromancer and she's an orphan, and I don't know why I had to include that. All my favorite characters are orphans. Plot twist. I don't know, she just had a lot of spunk and she's fun. She's bisexual, we love to see it. I love the way her grief is explored in this book, and sometimes she does some really stupid shit, especially in the 2nd book, but like I'm just like, girl, but I still love her. So yeah, Odessa, Reign of the Fallen. The next question is a book that made you cry, which I mean, yeah, for sure. If you read it, you know the part. Even this somehow. But I am going to give it to the book that I probably cried the most over. And it's a reread, so that makes it even more pathetic. Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. If you've been on my channel this year, you know that I've reread the entire Grishaverse series leading up to Rule of Wolves / the show. And Ruin and Rising is just, oh boy. So many freaking emotions. I even have, like, I found my old tweets from when I first read this back in 2014. And I was just like, I had a picture of my book with like a tear stain on it because I was just crying so much at, well, if you know me, you should know the part. This book. I could cry just thinking about it. I could cry just like reading certain parts of the end. Like the epilogue. Are you kidding me? I'm thinking what Zoya does for Alina in the epilogue. If you know, you know. Yeah, I love this book so much and I sob over it. I'll always sob over it. I think I have footage of me sobbing over it. If you want to go find it, a reading vlog for this. Next is a book that made you happy, so the opposite of crying. I'm going to give this one to She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. I am not seeing enough people talk about this book because I had an arc of this and I read it a couple weeks before this came out. Literally read it in like one sitting. It was freaking incredible. I remember I wanted to read this from the second that I saw the cover, but as someone who isn't super into YA romance, YA contemporary, I wasn't sure if I was gonna love it. Spoiler alert, I did. It has fake dating, sapphic romance between a basketball player and a cheerleader. What the heck else could you want? Irene Abraham, who is our cheerleader, she was definitely in the running for newest favorite character as well, because oh my god, I stan her so much. So yeah, if you haven't read this, you need to read it because it's freaking amazing. I'm not seeing enough people talk about it. Might be because I'm not really on booktube that much anymore, but like more people need to talk about it. It's so freaking good. 5 stars. Did I say that? 5 stars. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you bought. I'm going to give this to my Fairy Loot edition of Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Another book that I read and loved and gave 5 stars this year. We have the cover, which is very pretty. I don't know if you've seen the original. Maybe I'll pop it up here if I'm feeling up to it. I'm not totally sure how I feel about the eye here, but we have the spine. Hello. You got this on the back. Hunt to be hunted. But let me show you the best part, baby. Hello, the snake on the magnifique. Plus the hardcover has some foil embossing as well, and as always, almost with Fairy Loot, we have artwork on the inside of the dust jacket that is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy that I got Fairy Loot in time to receive this, because if you know me, Alexandra Bracken is one of my favorite authors of all time, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection. Then finally, the last question. What are books you need to read before the end of the year? First book, I don't really need to read anything, let's be real, but what books I would like to read by the end of the year. First up is Kingdom of the Wicked. I received this last year. Actually, one of my subscribers sent it to me because they had an extra like Fairy Loot box. Like they sent me their like whole box. Thank you so much, girl. Like, Again, I'm not entirely sure what this is about. It's fantasy. I remember when people were talking about it, I was like, that sounds like something I will like. And I would like to read it because the second book comes out sometime this fall. So I don't want to get super behind. Also, can we talk about this? Holy shit. And then the other book, I not only need to like read this year, but I need to read in the next couple months. Beach Read by Emily Henry. This book was poppin' last year, but I never got around to it. You know I love me my romance, so I wanted to read this. But I mean, it's called Beach Read. Look at this. I'm not about to read this in December, so I need to read it this summer, which is like, you know, 2 months left, so that will be read soon. Okay, that is it for the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm honestly very chill right now about books and booktube and all of that, because like I said, I'm still in my Shadow and Bone shit. I'm still in my Grishaverse shit. Like, that is just no thoughts. All Melina, I mean all Melina thoughts, no other thoughts. Sorry. Let me know some of y'all's answers to these questions in the comments. I would love to know. I would love to chitty chat. It's been a minute since we've talked, my friends. Okay, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. What's the status of my Wingstop order? Hit me, baby. Oh, okay. Let's go, Connor. Let's go. I got it, bitches. Bag secured. Bye, I'm insane.